you should be able to get results out of your launch really by doing a runway and then launching to a VIP list. And you truly, if you have done the right launch runway and you have the right offer and it's positioned in the right way, the opportunity to make launching so much easier with this. As a female online business owner with dreams of more income, more impact, and more freedom, you know there's more potential in your business waiting to be unlocked. But figuring out how to shape and transform your biz and get seen, loved, selling, and scaling can feel like, well, a mystery. So how do you cut through the noise, create offers that deeply resonate, sell and scale without you always being on, all while creating a life you love? That is exactly what this show is about. Welcome to Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale. I'm Corinda, your small biz marketing sidekick, digital offer strategist, and online biz bestie. With tens of thousands of digital offers sold, tens of thousands of people helped, and millions of dollars in revenue generated in my own business as a small business owner. And through this podcast, I am here to share it all. You'll gain clear, actionable insights, strategies, and shortcuts to master your online marketing, build scalable online offers, and create a business model that works for you as much as it works for your people, so you can grow your income, amplify your impact, and free up more of your time. Let's get started. Hello, and a massive welcome to this episode of Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale, where I am going to be sharing with you something that I hope can truly help you to bring more happiness, more results, more success, more seamlessness, and more intentional outcomes to your business. And today I'm going to take you behind the scenes and share something with you that I hope can do all of those things and more. And that is share the breakdown of my recent launch. Because here is the thing. I know that launching can be either really daunting to people if they haven't done it before, or launching can actually be sometimes a not so great experience for people if they have launched. I do really think that in business, we have this idea that launching needs to be hard. It needs to be heavy. There needs to be 1,000 things that you're doing at once. It needs to be like you on constantly. It needs to be all the bells and whistles. But here is the truth and what I know about launching from my personal experience and what I've learned helping hundreds of other people launch offers and products as well. And that is that launching can truly be something that can be easier, more seamless, more satisfying, and dare I say, even something that you like doing in your business if you don't already. Because here is what I've found. When you know how to launch right and have the right product and know how to get seen, loved, and selling in the right way during a launch, things can truly transform for you. And so today, that is exactly what we are going to dive into. I'm going to break down my most recent launch. I'm going to tell you exactly what the launch was, what happened during that launch, and then I'm going to break down the steps of getting seen, loved, and selling to get these results. So let's dive in. So first and foremost, what the heck was I launching and what happened? So I was launching the Content Mastery Club. So the Content Mastery Club is my membership, which is for small business owners to master their content marketing from A to Z. And we have a training pathway in there. We have bots, we have templates, we have my support, we have the most amazing community. And if you're listening to this, hi, hello. I am so honored that you are in that space. And the club is a capped program. So I choose to cap this by choice for many, many, many different reasons. However, I believe that that is what is best for, at this point in time, my people, for me, my lifestyle. It's at a really sweet spot where I make incredible income, but I can also really make amazing impact. There's a whole pile of stuff that goes into balancing that. But essentially, it is a capped program. And so what that means is that I had 90 spots that I was hoping to fill up. That was essentially my goal for this launch. And now, full transparency, this was the first time I had launched the club at a higher price point. So I'd actually just raised the price point because there's been like a considerable amount of resources that had been put in there in terms of like bots that I had made. And so I upped that price a small bit. So this to me kind of felt like a little bit of an unknown. So if you're heading into, say, one of your first launches, I have just recently launched the school, which was like my very first launch for that program, right? So like I know the feelings that come up with this. And the club actually had a little bit of that element too. Like I know what my conversion rates are based on what the old price was. And so there's a little bit of predictability around that, right? Like once you've launched something a few times, you should be going back through and looking at your data and seeing like, okay, if I have this many people on my email list, how many people on average click through? And then when they click through, how many people on average convert? You can kind of reverse engineer how much like traffic you might need or how many people you might need on your email list to actually get the results you want. But I was a little bit blind because I didn't know what was going to happen with this price increase that I had just put. I knew that it was the right decision to make. I had validated that in the Scalable Business School. I have like a pricing matrix. I'd used my own pricing matrix to make sure it was a price that was going to make sense to the market, all those things. But like at the end of the day, right, like there is always that tiny bit of like unknown. Like we've done everything we can, but entrepreneurship is risk and reward. And I was like, I'm taking the risk. It's a calculated risk. It's an ethical risk. It's a risk true to my values. I really do believe that this is like the smart step, but a little bit of an unknown. And so I didn't really know how this was going to go down, but I had these 90 spots available, 90. And so what I did was I just trusted the process. I went through my own Seen, Loved, Selling, or my Launch with Confidence framework, which is in 3 stages. And we're going to talk about that. And I just gave it my all. And I built my VIP list and I launched to my VIP list. And I'll talk about that in a second. But essentially within 2 days or 48 hours to a list of 400 people, I had sold 66 of the 90 spots. And so then what I did was I continued with my launch runway into the public launch section. And I had planned to do that for 7 days. So just to explain, when I teach launching, generally, again, like there's lots of nuances here, and remembering live launching is actually only one of the people and profit pathways that I teach to get people into your world. You don't actually need to live launch. You can use like quiet cash pathways where we kind of like invite people depending on what triggers they have in your business to the next offer. Or then we use like evergreen events, which could be like a podcast or a webinar or this or that, which brings people into things all year round. But then of course we can live launch with or without events. And when I teach live launching, I normally teach that you might want to do like a 48-hour, 72-hour VIP period. And then you want to do like a public launch on the end of that. And these dates depend on what people are doing. But for me, I was doing a 48-hour VIP period. And then that was Tuesday afternoon to Thursday afternoon, my time. And then I was thinking from Thursday night to Thursday night the next week was going to be my normal launch. And so what happened was I launched the VIP list, and within 48 hours, we had 66 spots sold. And this is what I mean, that launching can actually become so much easier, because then when I open it up to the public, I actually pulled right back on my marketing. So I only sent another 2 emails to my full list. And this was like one was on the Thursday, one was on the Friday, and I woke up on the Monday. I didn't really check in or do anything over the weekend. I woke up on the Monday with the spots sold out. And so what I actually had to do was then send an email on the Monday saying, hey, I'm closing doors earlier than I presumed, like to this offer. I'm so sorry I didn't send like more information or a last call email. So like this is the last call. And I had a few extra people jump in, which meant that I did slightly oversell the program. I did go over my goals a little bit, but I'm absolutely okay with that. And I will be able to manage. There is a little bit of a buffer made for things like that. So essentially my launch looked like a 2-day VIP period, and then 3 more emails, really 2 selling emails, but 3 more emails sent out to my wider list, and a handful of things on stories. And I was able to achieve my goal. Now, if I didn't have a cap on this, of course, I could have kept going and then just had a really epic launch. Of course, I could have also added things like more posts on Instagram, which I didn't do any on there because I predicted, I should say. We never presume anything, but I predicted from seeing what the VIP list did that I was maybe going to sell out anyway. So I didn't post on social media. I needed to pull things back. But if I had wanted this launch to go even further, I could have done like an event with this live launch. I could have put more content out there. I could have ran retargeting ads. Like I could have gone live on Instagram. Like there are other things I could have done during this time to increase this by choice, right? But here's the thing, like you should be able to get results out of your launch really by doing a runway and then launching to a VIP list. And you truly, 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 if you have done the right launch runway and you have the right offer and it's positioned in the right way, the opportunity to make launching so much easier with this. So that's a debrief of my launch, and welcome to the 90 new members in the Content Mastery Club that joined the 410 members that were already in there. So we now have 500 members in the club, and I am so honored to work with every single one of you. And so let's talk about essentially what I did with this launch runway and this launch itself. And what I really, 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 really hope that you will start to do with your launches to make launching so much easier. So let's talk seen, let's talk loved, let's talk selling. So first and foremost, seen. So no secret, I've said this 1,000 times, but you cannot sell a secret. And so many people come to me and they're like, Corinda, I'm about to go into a launch. Like, how many people should I be trying to get on my email list during this launch? And I'm like, oh, hang on a second. We actually get seen before our launches. And so a launch to me, to explain, it's 3 phases. We have phase 1 where we start to position our core area of support. We have phase 2 where we get our people purchase ready. Now, phase 1 and phase 2 are commonly what I refer to and other people refer to as well as the runway. So it's like the runway before you launch. And then phase 3 is the actual profit. It's where we actually make the offer and close the sale. So by the time we are in phase 3, people should be ready to buy. They should be like, holy heck, I want in. They don't have to know the price yet. They don't have to know the exact inclusions, but they should be so ready from you showing them that you are the one, that this core area of support matters, getting them purchase ready by saying something's coming. Overall, it looks like this. It feels like this. You'll get this transformation. Here's what other people have achieved using this method or this exact offer or this exact product. Here's some sneak peeks at it. And then essentially you want to have a lineup of people that when you open the door, they are like, all I need to know is these few extra details and I am in, right? And of course, I can't cover all the people and profit pathways in this exercise. That's really what we go deep in this episode. That's obviously much, much deeper in Scalable Business School. But you can also add, as I said before, these extra things to this people and profit pathway, like ads or an event like a webinar or a challenge or a private podcast or truly anything to actually nurture people even more and then get back in front of them when it is the time. But essentially what we want to do before we even go into these phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, is we need an audience there. We shouldn't be trying to build our audience during the phases. Now, don't get me wrong. When we're doing positioning content, it's actually really, really valuable content for people. And so your audience may grow during that time. But please hear me when I say, if you have your plan to profit done or whatever your own planning system is in your business and you're going into a launch runway and then a launch, directly before that, you should be doing a period of audience growth. And so for me, that really, 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 really means audience growth on your email list. And I get it, right? When people hear audience growth, they probably think social media, but that's not what I'm talking about. I am really talking your email list and getting people onto that. And then during this runway period, being able to nurture that email list as well as social media. And so what I really recommend is that you're using some kind of audience growth strategy before you launch. This is everything. Now, what this means is that I was able to build my audience. And then when I went into phase 1 and phase 2 and I was asking them, do they want to be on the VIP list? Come and join. People were signing up to that. And so I'm not trying to get people to my general email list during that time. I'm actually just trying to move people already in my world to my email list or my VIP list. And so I really want you to start thinking about launching differently and having an audience to launch to. And it is absolutely no secret. One of the ways that I love to grow my audience is through my low ticket digital offers. These are not just income streams. These are not just ways to build trust. These are not just ways for people to have that know, like, love, you're the one for me, holy heck, I need more factor. These are also list builders and audience builders. Because when people join your world through a low ticket offer, they will often subscribe to your marketing or you will have touch points with them where you're legally allowed to communicate with them. Some people join my Facebook group and I am able to go through and share information in there about offers or launches or events coming up. And so this is really one way that I make my future launches successful is by selling people a different offer to start with. And this is really the digital product to profit strategy. The other thing I'm doing, of course, is using organic content marketing on social media to get seen and loved there. And then I'm getting people off that onto my email list. So as I'm going into a launch runway, I'm really focusing my social media content on building my list heavily, even more heavily than normal. It's like a stock standard thing I do in my business, but I'm really putting out there lots of freebies. I'm using ManyChat to get people onto the list. I am really sharing it in my stories regularly. You would have even heard me like doing this in the podcast as well, of calling people to action to get on that list. So again, we really, really, really want to do this entire period of audience growth if you need that before you head into a launch. And so then as we head into a launch, this is really like the seen part. Then we're looking at the loved part. And so we really need to make sure that we have a clear launch strategy. Launches are one of those things where you can like turn the volume up or turn the volume down or turn the dial up or dial down on like how much you do during a launch. And launches can be, I teach a thing called light launching. Launches can be quite light, like you can do like a 10-day runway and then a 5-day open close cart if you're, for example, selling like a low ticket offer that is already really well positioned in your audience. But then sometimes it's like a 30-day runway and a 10-day VIP and wider open closed cart. And so even during that time, like let's say you are doing 30 days, you can put content out every single day in the launch phases, or you could put content out every second or third day. It really depends on kind of what volume you think you're going to need for the launch. But what I do not sacrifice is actually doing these 3 phases. So whether I'm doing a 10-day runway, a 30-day runway, whether I'm doing 2 posts a week or I'm doing 2 posts a day, whether I'm doing an email a week or an email every second day during those phases, I really make sure the phases themselves are covered. And this is how we get loved and get our offer loved so that when we open the doors for our launch, our people are ready to purchase. They are literally just looking at some final details and then they are either in or out depending on like what they decide to do. So these phases that we then go into is our phase 1, which is our positioning. And so what this is where we identify our core area of support and we create strategic content around this. So I might be, for example, a Facebook ads guru. That might be like my niche. And what I'm actually doing is launching a program on Facebook Creative. And so I would switch my content to really, really, really honing in on Facebook Creative. So sure, all year round, I might talk about Facebook ads. I might do updates. I might share stories. I might do this. I might do that. But I would really focus in on creative for this phase 1. And I would be going through and I would be making sure that people were problem and solution aware, knowing that if they're having these problems, the solution is created. I would be positioning myself as an expert in creative by sharing even more tips, outcomes, stories. I would be going through and really having my world revolve around showing, enlightening, empowering people that Facebook Creative is totally something that they need in their lives. It is totally something that is either a problem for them right now or can be the solution for them. And I am totally the one that they want to learn it from. Like I am an expert. Then we go into phase 2. And in phase 2, it is literally the something is coming phase. So in here, I will say, I am so excited to announce that my Facebook Creative membership is like launching for the first time or opening up again in, 10 days time. Like this is a space that's going to help you achieve everything that you need for creative. Watch this space and, comment blah, blah, blah to get on the VIP list for when doors open. And then I'd really continue talking about my core area of support all through phase 2, but I would start to go deeper and connecting this back in a really direct way to this offer that is coming. And, you don't even have to tell people the name of it if you want to do like this big hype launch. You can just say something is coming, get on the list. Like that's absolutely fine. But it shouldn't be a secret that all of a sudden on day 1 of your launch, like there's this offer that's now available. We want to get people really psychologically ready for the fact that they'll be making a purchase decision, psychologically in a place where like there's no surprises. They know something's coming. They're getting excited about it. They might have started saving posts, reading emails a little bit more closely, really considering what this could be. And so this is really what we want to do through phase 2. And it should truly come to the stage that you have a VIP list to launch to on your day 1 of your official phase 3, which is when we open the doors, of people who know that they are about to get offered something. They have a general idea of what this thing is, if not a really good idea. Like with the club, they go to a VIP page, which literally has every single thing that's inside, testimonials. They just don't know what the price will be. And the reason for that is the price does change. And so, 3 months ago, if someone signed up for the VIP list and I had a price on there, I'd be in a little bit of like a sticky situation I'd have to manage because I decided to put the price up. And so I don't put prices on my waitlist pages. But if people do ask me behind the scenes, like I'll give them a ballpark figure. Like I'll be like, oh, this is a low ticket membership. We're talking under $100 a month, blah, 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 blah. And so that will still give me wiggle room if I'm thinking I might need to change it or whatever. But it does give also people like an indication of budgeting. And so essentially what you want to be doing is having a list of people that are ready to make a purchase decision the day you open your cart, which leads us to the selling part. So we get seen building an audience before a launch. If you already have an audience and you think that, it's a solid size, that's absolutely okay. And I didn't mention this before, but people ask me all the time, like, what is the right size audience that I should have when I'm getting seen? And remember, we spoke about email list building. I think generally that there is no one answer to this. And the reason for that is everyone's product goals is so different. Like your launch, you might want to get 10 people in a program. The other person listening to this right now on their hot girl walk on their drive or whatever they're doing right now, they might want to get 1,000 people into their program, right? And so it's completely different. But for a first launch, I do really, and other industry experts like agree with this, that about 500 people on an email list is a good size for a first launch. Now, if you're wanting to get 1,000 people in your program, you're going to need to adjust that, right? 500 people is probably not enough. But if you're wanting to get like up to 100 people in an offer, let's say, a list of 500 people is a good place to start. Now, I'm in no way saying you're definitely going to get 100 people off that 500. You might get 10. But what this gives us is a solid amount of people. Remembering like email open rates are roughly like 40 to 60%. And so you might not even get everyone open those emails up. And so then you're getting seen by like 250 people. We know we need like 100 people to go to a sales page to get like a good indicator of how it's going to convert. And so this is why this is like the minimum number that is really good to have. And then for a first launch, you might do a founding members or a beta or just expect it to be a little bit smaller potentially. It doesn't have to be, but it could be that this is like your trial launch just to see what happens, test the page, test this, test that. And then from there, you'll start to get some numbers. So you'll know, okay, so my sales page conversion rate is 10% and my email click-through rate is 15% and my email open rate is 50%. So you can reverse engineer that to say, if I want 100 people in this program, well, I now need 2,000 people on an email list. And you might start adding extra elements in, but also they don't necessarily have to be on the email list and open the email. I can retarget them with Facebook ads, or they are also in my Facebook group and I can do this there. And then I've also got my organic channels like my podcast, my social media that can be the fringe, the increase on top of this email, right? So you actually start to get a really good idea of potentially how to reverse engineer to hit your goals. But to start with, if you are one of these people where you're like, Corinda, help me ballpark figure, it is roughly a minimum of 500 people on an email list for a launch is a solid launch for where you're hoping to get from 1 to 100 people in something. So we get ourselves seen. Then we move through our phase 1 and our phase 2 runways. And then that's where we're getting loved, where people literally are open the damn doors, show me what is going on. I'm so interested to hear about this offer. And then we get selling, which is essentially where we start to invite people to this offer. So my selling is essentially for this launch, I sent my email to the VIPs and they were sent to a sales page. And they had a VIP bonus that was only available for 48 hours to thank them for throwing their hat in the ring and having that conviction, that drive. That's really hey, I'm going to give you something extra if you sign up in the next 48 hours. And so this was when I start to get selling. So it is literally an email that says, the club is open. Come and check it out. Here is a reminder of why you might have been on this email list. That is literally what this is. And then I had 400 people on this email list, as I said, on my VIP list. And, within the first hour, I had like 12 people signed up already. And so this is how easy, in inverted commas, it can be once you do have your seen and loved done right. The selling part becomes so, in inverted commas, easy. And why am I saying in inverted commas? And it's because I'm a realist, right? Like, I'm never going to feed you BS or hype. I also have the right offer. So this isn't just my launch strategy that like really helps me here. And it's not just my scene strategy, remembering that I have low ticket offers as well that help build trust, which is why I teach and preach these things as well, because they are an absolute game changer. And looking at the stats, about 50 people who signed up, about 50% of people who signed up to the club had a past product, and the rest had come from like organic content marketing. This was like their first purchase from me, not their first touch point with me necessarily. They were on my email list. They had lead magnets. I had been emailing, serving and selling to that list, but it was about 50-50. So I am getting this really incredible scene boost. I'm getting this loved boost by doing a really great launch runway and also having people in there that also do trust me. Again, this launch runway works if you don't have a low ticket offer. People use it all the time who don't have low ticket offers, and it converted 50% of the people. But again, I did have these other people in my world and I had a great offer. And your offers are everything. Like, you can have the best marketing in the world, but if your offer just ain't it, it's just not positioned right, it doesn't have the right inclusions, it's not the right price point, then you are going to struggle. And so I'm in no way saying like drop your prices, but if you have a high ticket offer and you're finding that you're getting lots of pricing objections or lots of cost objections, you don't necessarily need to drop the price. You might need to increase the perceived value. You might need to increase the clarity of why people need this. You might need to increase the compellingness. You might need to change the messaging as well as the positioning. You might need to go through and make sure that you have a longer, deeper launch runway. Like, when I say that this is relatively easy, there are obviously nuances that go into it. But here's the thing, right? Like, you get to launch as many times as you need to get this right. And so you get to go back and do this launch again and do a longer launch runway and put an event in and position your offer differently and message it differently and then do this again. That's the best part about business. We just get to keep going until we hit success. And so when I'm saying with ease, this is in inverted commas, but this is truly, once you have it right, this is how easy it becomes that I was able to do my phase 1, phase 2 launch runway. I'd been building my list through everything I teach in organic content marketing, as well as everything I teach with low ticket offers. No secrets here. They're the 2 ways that I've built this list. And then I was able to send out my invite emails and see the most beautiful humans just know from the like seen and loved runway with me into the selling part where they could see everything they needed on the sales page using my sales page success formula. And it was an offer that was truly like speaking to them. It was positioned well. It was the right price point. It had the right messaging, the right inclusions for what they want and what they need. And it just becomes an, in inverted commas, easy yes for them. And so this is essentially the launch runway that I followed. So then I kept going. It was a 48-hour window. So I sent an open email. About 24 hours later, I sent another email. And then about 16 hours later, I think it was, I sent an email saying like 5 hours to go for your VIP, remembering the VIP bonus expired. That had 66 amazing people in there. And then I sent one more email to my whole list and then another email to the whole list. And then that filled up spots when I had woken up. And there was a handful of stories in there. And then I closed the doors. And a little love note as well, that all of this was recycled content, except for the last email that I had to send that said like, whoops-a-daisy, like I didn't expect this to happen. Club's filled up. This is your very last call, even though there was no warning of this. That one actually was just written in the moment because it was an in the moment type thing. All of the other content that I had actually sent out for this, my runway emails, my runway content, and also my VIP emails, and then the 2 selling emails to my whitelist were recycled content. And that is because like once we know something works, we can continue to use it. You do not need to be reinventing the selling wheel over and over and over again. It is just not something that needs to be done. You can freshen it up. Like I changed out testimonials. I might have like reworded a thing here or there. I tested a few different subject lines, but overall, this was recycled content and was still a huge, huge, huge success. So I really want you to take away from this episode a few key things. First and foremost, how are you building your audience? Because this matters. You should be using damn good content marketing, and please, there's very little things that I say like that you have to do in business, but please build an email list. Please get people to your email list. It is one of the best places that you can reach people no matter what is happening with algorithms or platforms or anything else. But how are you building your audience where you want it, email list or not? Make sure that you are doing that in advance of going into an actual launch runway. And of course, please, if you are considering it, explore low ticket digital offers, which have so many benefits, being not just an actual income stream, not just a way to help people, but a way to help them trust you, a way to help them be in your business, experiencing the magic that you have to offer, and then being ready for that next program. The next thing I really want you to take away is your launch runway, those phases 1 and 2, where we have people in our world, and now it is time to really position you and this core area of support, make them problem and solution aware, really aware, and changing perceptions that like, wow, like this core area of support is something I need. I need to look further. I understand the importance of it. I understand that this person talking to me is an expert in that. And then really making sure that people are purchase ready before they're asked to make a purchase. Please, my recommendation is that launches shouldn't be a surprise. People should know something is coming. They can have a vague idea of what is coming and a lot of hype around it, or they can literally know exactly what is coming and be just waiting for you to open doors. They see the final price, they see all inclusions, and they get to ask any final questions and sign up. That purchase ready phase is something that is absolutely so important. And then I also really do encourage you, where possible, you don't always have to do this, especially if you have a much smaller audience. Sometimes it doesn't always make sense to do a VIP list versus just a normal email list, but building a VIP list is an incredible strategy. It's an incredible strategy because you can use like genuine urgency and scarcity when you give someone like a gratitude gift and like just an excitement gift for being like, wow, like you put your hands up first. Thank you for believing in me. Like here's a little something to say thank you for that. That's certainly like a benefit where they get something. You can use urgency and scarcity to stop procrastination, get numbers in. But there's also many other benefits to it as well. Building a VIP list helps you actually gauge your positioning and messaging as you're going through purchase ready. You can start to use different angles. Like, let's say I was positioning my offer and I was saying that the positioning is that it saves you time, or the positioning is that it's a proven strategy, or the positioning is that there's a community inside. Now, all of these things are true, but when I'm building this VIP list, when I'm using these individual messages to say like, one of the best things about this space is that you'll save so much time, then the next time I'm saying like, one of the second best things about this place is you'll do this, I can actually gauge how many people are clicking through, how much engagement I'm getting, how many signups I'm getting from that positioning, from that messaging. And I can know things about my offer before I even launch to be like, okay, this is the angle that I should highlight more because this is the one that people resonate with the most. And it also shows you that if you're not getting any signups to the VIP list, that something might be off in your messaging. It might be off in your positioning at this stage. And it lets you start to go through and tweak those things. So you can actually really start to see how much your offer is resonating before it is actually released. And then the other benefit of a VIP list is that you actually get to test your sales page before you potentially send it to a wider community. And so when I was able to have the email with 400 people, now, yes, they're my hottest audience, so you have to remember that as well. But if I had sent that email to those 400 people and I'd only gotten like 1 or 2 signups, I can see my conversion rate's really low, even from my hottest people. I instantly know that maybe my offer, maybe my positioning, maybe my messaging needs some attention before I go out and send this to my entire community who actually might be a little bit colder because they're not on the VIP list. They hadn't maybe even been shown as much interest as these other people had already. So it gives me or you or anybody the indication to say like, okay, I actually need to like work on this page immediately, change this up a little bit, like add a video, do this, do that, get some feedback on the offer immediately, like add an extra bonus. Like, what is it that you need to do from the feedback that you're getting from the data? And so I really want you to consider having like VIP launches as part of your launch if you don't do that already. And then really remembering that our job in selling is to close the sale, but that doesn't mean that we should try any less. And so normally when I do have my open close card, I'll send like 5 to 7 emails over the 7 days of like this public launch, really going through things like obviously making the invitation for them to come in. I'm using social proof. I'm using storytelling. I'm putting in ethical urgency and scarcity about like spaces left or doors closing. I'm going through and I'm handling objections. I'm, using future pacing. You should definitely still be at this like it is the first time someone ever heard about this offer. You should have a sales page that explains it all, that really is an entire conversation. You want to act like people have never heard of this offer before and somebody's just discovering you today, and you want your launch, open, close, and your sales page to have all of the things that could like convert a completely cold person, because then when someone who is warm or hot sees that, this is when it's like no brainer for them, right? Like they are getting the A++++ clarity and treatment. And so we don't want to, just because this is where we close the sale, necessarily go any less deeper, any less compelling, any less driven, any less excitement. We still want a proper open close runway with like a proper sales page, even events, things like that. But the best part is that you want to be sending people to those things, or sending these things to people that are already like, I'm so excited to find out more. Give me the details. Like, this already feels like what I need, and I feel like I need it from you. So there you have it. I hope that has helped to really go behind the scenes a little bit in my own launch and really look at what helps myself and students across any of my programs have these experiences of really positive launches. Because here is the thing. This isn't just happening to me. This is happening to multiple tens of hundreds of students who are using this method as well. Because the success of your sales comes from not being a secret, and also really having this idea of something is coming ingrained in people and potentially why they need it before we even make that pitch. So over to you. I am going through and cheering you on for either your first launch or your next launch. As I said, there are lots of nuances to like people and profit pathways, as I call them, to bring people into your world. But please, if you are being drawn to live launching, which has so many benefits to it, do not let the idea that it is hard or it is heavy turn you off, because you can make it so much lighter and truly something that you might end up liking or even loving in your business, for the fact that it creates income and impact. You get to make invitations, interact with people, see their excitement, see the start of their journey. It is truly something that can feel so wonderful if you learn to do it right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Seen, Love, Selling, Scale podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, fired up, and empowered to make serious moves that align with your goals and version of success, both in life and business. If you loved what you heard, head over to www.thisisco.com.au to find all the links and resources mentioned in today's episode. And if you aren't already following the show, make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss a future episode when it drops. I'll see you again next week, same time, same place, same goal to get you seen, loved, selling, and scaling. See you then.